Whenever there is a mention of heritage, old traditions, and customs, invariably two thought streams seem to emerge. One says, burn the old, throw it away, while the other says that old is gold. Do we have to choose between one or the other of these conflicting ideologies, or is there a golden mean between the two? Can we create a constantly evolving, ever new culture? A culture that's created by weaving together the threads from the ancient wisdom and the pragmatism and knowledge of today? That is what we attempt to do here. Hello, you are listening to the podcast Something Old, Something New. I am your host, Rohini Abhyankar. Part 15, Conclusion of Vinata Kadru Trilogy, The Garuda Story. This podcast was recorded on Nag Panchami Day and is a delayed release. I sincerely apologize for the long gap between the last episode and this one. Today we wrap up the trilogy of Vinata and Kadru. Today's story is essentially the story of Garuda. This selfless act, his mission to free his mother Vinata from his sister Kadru's curse by procuring the nectar of immortality, that is Amrit, from the heavens. Until today, I was faced with a dilemma. It was Nag Panchami Day when the podcast would air, and it made no sense to narrate the story of Garuda, the slayer of Nagas, on this day. But I learned this morning that the day is also marked as Garuda Panchami. Garuda Panchami is celebrated as a symbol of devotion to one's mother. So now the dilemma is resolved and the sailing is smooth. Today is Garuda Panchami, and on this occasion, let's hear the intriguing story of Garuda. Let us pick up from where we left off last time. When the mighty Garuda was just born, upon birth he filled the sky with his wingspan. All the beings marveled at his size and bowed down to him in reverence and showered him with songs of devotion. Listening to the praises from the deities, Garuda was pleased. Reducing his size to normal, he assured the deities that there was no reason for them to fear him and that he would uphold the righteous values of existence. One day, Garuda was carrying his older brother Aruna, who was not fully formed due to his mother Vinata's haste in opening the egg before it was hatched, and Aruna was being carried by Garuda on his back while going from his father's place to his mother's. At the same time, the sun, Surya, exasperated by the menace of Rahu and Ketu constantly eclipsing him and the moon, decided to burn the entire world down. Hope you recollect the story of the birth of Rahu and Ketu. Here is a quick refresher in case you don't. We have heard that Swarabhanu, a demon, came to the assembly of gods to get some of the Amrit that had emerged from Samudra Manthan. The sun and the moon, who were sitting nearby, were onto him and informed Vishnu that Swarabhanu was a demon disguised as a god. Vishnu immediately cut off Swarabhanu's head with his Sudarshan Chakra, but already having consumed a bit of Amrit, Swarabhanu's head and body had become immortal and Rahu and Ketu were born. Now Rahu and Ketu, in quest of revenge, constantly chase the sun and the sun and the moon are totally helpless with no assistance from the gods. Surya keeps thinking that he told on Swarabhanu because he had the good of the gods at heart. However, now that he is in trouble from Rahu, none of the gods bother to help him, and hence his decision to burn the whole world to ashes. In the middle of the night, everyone begins to feel the heat. As the time of sunrise approaches, the world is still engulfed in darkness. The sages and gods are concerned and go to Brahma to tell him that something must be done, otherwise the whole world will be destroyed. And then Brahma says that a plan to save the world is already ready and is being executed. The plan was for Aruna, Garuda's elder brother, to be appointed as charioteer of the sun. This would let Aruna absorb sun's excessive heat, allowing the world to receive the normal sunlight and heat. This is a sub-story of the larger Garuda narrative. So let's now return to our main story. Garuda leaves Aruna in his place and returns to his mother. When he arrives, he sees that Kadru, Vinata's sister, is gloating over Vinata and telling her that since Vinata was a slave, she was to serve Kadru, and orders Vinata to carry her and her sons to a faraway community of Nagas, serpents, in the sea. Vinata complies with her command and takes Kadru on her back. Garuda, being a devoted son, decides to help his mother and places all of Kadru's serpent sons on his back to carry them to this distant island. As Garuda starts to soar in the sky, the serpents riding on his back experience the scorching heat of the sun and are in great distress. Kadru praises Lord Indra, addresses him as the Almighty himself, and asks him to send Varuna, the rain god, to their rescue. Indra, pleased with her praises, makes it rain and all the snakes are relieved. In the meantime, Garuda locates the island Kadru and the snakes want to go to. It is a beautiful place which the snakes enjoy and have fun and frolic in. However, they ask Vinata and Garuda to transport them to yet another place that will not be surrounded by salt water. At that time, exasperated by constant demands and domination of Kadru over Vinata, Garuda asks his mother for the reason for her servitude. Vinata tells him that because she lost a bet to Kadru, she had to be Kadru's slave. Garuda then goes to Kadru and asks her what he should do to free his mother from the bondage. Kadru asks Garuda to retrieve Amrit, which is closely guarded by the gods, and to bring it to her, and in return promises to release Vinata from her bondage. Garuda accepts the task and decides to bring the ambrosia or the Amrit from the heavens and free his mother. As he prepares to leave, he realizes that he is hungry and needs nutrition. His mother points him to a community of fishermen, suggesting the fishermen to be a probable source of nutrition for Garuda, but also warns him against eating or harming any Brahmins or ascetics, since ascetics have a power gained from their penance that could destroy the mightiest of the mighty. As Garuda is swallowing the fisherman, inadvertently he swallows a Brahmana who manages to get stuck in Garuda's throat. Garuda remembers his mother's words and is afraid in case the Brahman would curse him. Garuda is relieved when the Brahman gets when the Brahman gets unstuck and comes out. Next, Garuda goes to Kashyapa, his father, his hunger still not satisfied, and asks Kashyap to point him in direction of food. Kashyap advises him to follow a path to a lake where he would find an elephant and a tortoise engaged in an eternal battle. Kashyap briefly narrates their story and the reason for their quarrel. The story goes like this. There are two brothers, both sages, who inherit a large fortune from their father. One of them insists on dividing the fortune, while the other suggests that they keep the fortune together, fearing that if they split up, others might take advantage of them and cheat them out of their wealth. They argue intensely, and in the heat of the moment, both sages curse each other. One curses the other to be an elephant, and the other curses the first one to be a tortoise in their respective next lives. They continue their battle even in their next lives as an elephant and a turtle. After hearing the story, Garuda goes to the lake, and there he sees the elephant and the turtle locked in a battle as expected. He takes on a large form, picks up both the animals, one each, in his claws, and takes off looking for a place to land and eat his meal. A large banyan tree invites him to sit on a mammoth branch and asks him to enjoy his lunch there. However, when Garuda lands on the branch, it breaks off, and as it is about to hit the ground, he notices a chain of tiny Valkalya rishis hanging from the branch and doing their penance. He remembers the words of his mother that he should never harm any ascetics, so he picks up the branch with his beak and takes off to look for a place to safely place the branch down so as not to harm the Valkylias. Garuda is spotted by his father carrying this humongous load, an elephant and a turtle in his claws, and a huge branch of a banyan tree in his beak. By the way, this is how he came to be known as Garuda, one who's carrying a large load. Here again, his father intervenes and asks the Valkylias to leave the branch and find some other spot to continue their penance. They listen to Kashyap, and Kashyap has more penance power than theirs, he is higher in the hierarchy, and they leave the branch to head towards Himalayas. Garuda at last finds a place to quench his hunger and is now ready to invade the gods to retrieve Amrit with the goal of freeing his mother. Garuda once again assumes a colossal form and engages in a fierce battle with the gods. I won't describe the entire battle, but it's an incredible confrontation. All the gods fight against him, but they eventually face defeat. Finally, Garuda reaches a place where a contraption with massive sharp teeth is guarding the Amrit. The contraption is designed such that no one can reach the pot of Amrit. However, Garuda now assumes a tiny form and effortlessly reaches the pot of Amrit, now guarded by two ferocious serpents. After yet another ferocious battle, Garuda slays the two serpents and picks up the pot of nectar and heads to his mother. But the gods are not done with him yet. Seeing Garuda with the pot of Amrit, Vishnu incarnates in front of him. He says, Garuda, you have done a remarkable job. You are not only brave and strong, but you also have demonstrated immense self control. You have in your possession a pot of Amrit, an elixir that can grant you eternal good health and make you immortal, yet you haven't even taken a sip. I am very pleased with you, so I grant you two boons. Ask for anything you desire. Garuda replies, firstly, grant me a permanent place above you, and secondly, grant me immortality and excellent health without having to drink Amrit. Vishnu agrees to this. Now, since Garuda and Vishnu are now equals as Garuda has defeated all the gods, he tells Vishnu that he too is going to grant Vishnu two boons. Now I am giving you a chance. Tell me what you want. And Vishnu responds, I want you to be my vehicle. And whenever I need to go anywhere, you will carry me there. And secondly, I want you to reside in the flag atop my chariot. Do you see the clever ploy here? Now Vishnu has made Garuda join his clan. But we'll talk about that later. Now it is Indra's turn. Seeing Garuda with the pot of Amrit, Indra decides to fight Garuda one last time and launches his star weapon, the one made with the bones of Dadichi Rishi. However, Garuda is so mighty that he laughs and casually pulls the weapon out of his wing and says that to honor Dadichi, he will drop one feather on the earth. Indra is humbled and surrenders and says, I am very pleased with your strength and valor. I desire a friendly relationship with you. I wish for us to be friends, and you should also be a friend to me. Both agree to become friends with each other. Once the friendship is solid, Indra says, Indra asks Garuda, so now since we are friends, why do you still want to take this Amrit to the serpents? They are our enemies. If they become immortal, they will harm all of us and harm the earth. But Garuda refuses, saying that he needs to take it to the snakes, take the Amrit to the snakes, as promised to free his mother. And goes on to say that as soon as I put it down, I do not care what you do after that, indicating that he would not go after Indra if he were to snatch the pot, if Indra were to snatch the pot of Amrit from there on. Indra agrees to this. Garuda then takes the pot of nectar and goes to the snakes. He tells them, I have brought you the nectar. Do you free my mother now? To which the snakes and their mother Kadru agree. Garud places the Amrit pot on some kusha grass and asks the snakes whether they would want to purify themselves before drinking Amrit. The snakes agree and they all go to the river to take a bath. Lo and behold, now the Amrit pot is not guarded. Indra and swoops in and heads to the heavens. When the snakes arrive, they are thoroughly disappointed. They see the Amrit pot gone. The kusha grass has become immortal from the few drops of Amrit that fell on it when the pot was put down. The snakes desperately try to lick the Amrit spilled on the kusha grass and in turn develop forked tongues. So, that concludes the long, intriguing story of Garuda, his devotion to his mother in this third and the final part of the long saga of Vinata and Kadru's story. When we listen to stories, we tend to reflect on the societal structures depicted therein, the human nature, and the instinct of beings to protect their existence, even if briefly. The politics in the world today isn't much different from the events of those ancient times. I marvel at the vision of Vyasa the Great and respectfully say, Vyasochistam Jagat Sarvam, meaning everything that is said has already been uttered by Veda Vyasa. As we read here these stories, many intricate and profound narratives unfold. There are numerous aspects to explore and comment on, but it would require a considerable amount of time and analysis. Today's episode is already somewhat longer. However, I wish to highlight one particular aspect, the subjugation of Garuda by the deities. The subjugation of Garuda by the gods is fascinating. The diplomacy employed is more intriguing than the events themselves. Vishnu didn't use force to control Garuda. Instead, he employed tact. Vishnu essentially told Garuda that he could have a place above him, but only as a banner atop his chariot. When Garuda accepted this position, he became Vishnu's mount, symbolizing his subservience and devotion. Furthermore, when Garuda encounters Indra, Indra diplomatically expresses his desire to establish friendship. Once the friendship treaty is signed in, Indra questions Garuda's wisdom in taking the Amrit to the serpents. Garuda, although committed to delivering the Amrit to the Nagas, offers to turn a blind eye and help Indra snatch it from the serpents. This diplomatic maneuvering is quite evident in the stories. The diplomacy, the strategies used, seen in present day geopolitics, can be traced back to such events. Powerful nations strive to maintain their dominance globally through various means, and sustaining their supremacy is a nuanced endeavor. Nevertheless, even after thousands of years, epic tales like the Mahabharata continue to offer valuable lessons that inspire and amaze us even today. Let's pause here today. If you have had any thoughts or reflections while listening to the story, please share them. Do let us know how you like today's episode and share it with friends and family if you think they will enjoy this story. That's all for now. Until we meet again, Namaste.